Can we give it up for the hat? This hat is vintage. This hat was my late father-in-law's favorite hat. He wore it on the golf course all the time. And he lived all over the world, had an amazing military career, and he chose to retire and raise his family in the beautiful town of Oshkosh, Wisconsin. So I always look for any excuse to wear, I call it my Gilligan hat, because it is kind of like Gilligan's white hat, remember? That will date me. But I thought this would be a great place to wear it. And I realize that I am the only thing that is between you and a cold one. So this is without a doubt the largest beer bottle I've ever seen. But we are in Wisconsin, so there you go. So let's get this party started, shall we? Nick, hit it.
Destination override. New destination, 1 Gregory Drive, Airhalon. Distance to destination, 4,126 miles. Enjoy your ride.
What's happening? I'm sorry, what? Mr. Carr?
Things are just really different at Raviva, and I had nothing to do with the decision. Guys, I'm so sorry.
Wait, so the company that offered us the most, until Richard talked them into offering us the least, is now offering us nothing?
But the fact that you're so sorry makes it all better.
And when you're really worth something, I'm going to take you back to those same spineless VCs who said no, and I'm going to shove you right up their assholes.
Who else feels this product is stupid? Alan, Lisa, Josh, Yana, Katie. And did it piss off anyone else? Alan, Lisa, Josh, Yana, Katie.
Christina, how bad is this? Be honest. Is this Windows Vista bad? It's not iPhone 4 bad, is it? Don't tell me this is Zoom bad.
I'm sorry, Gavin. It's Apple Maps bad.
The answer is wrong.
You do this deal or I pull your funding.
Well, you can't pull funding because we have a contract, so...
Oh, we have a contract. We have a f***ing contract, Richard? You want to know what I have? A f***ing car whose doors open like this. Not like this. Not like this. These are not the doors of a billionaire, Richard. You.
Mr. Bachman, I am sorry to drive you like this, but I have got the buyers.
Sharon, he's gonna drink his own piss.
Sorry, Louise, this isn't a break time. I'm entertaining, and I have some minor cosmetic repairs to do before I show the house.
Oh, no, they don't even need to look inside. They only want the property for the lot value.
Lot value, meaning
You have to realize your house is a total teardown, right?
they want to tear this place down?
They want to make an offer right now, all cash, Mr. Bachman. I think you would be foolish to turn this down.
Did you just call me a fool?
No, all I meant was...
Madam, do not call a man a fool on the transom of his own home. A home that happens to be the world headquarters of a company keeping streaming video of a man who's about to drink his own urine online for tens of thousands of Filipinos. Does that sound like foolishness to you? So, you can tell your clients respectfully that they may go f*** themselves.
Your algorithm is solid. It's a really good schema.
Okay, thanks.
I had to think you'd be younger. And what are you, 25?
26.
Yikes. I saw the Model UN thing on Monday, but maybe I could run for your gig over the weekend.
You think you can do our whole job in 2 days?
I know I can do it in 2 days. I pound Mellow Yellow, Oreos, and Adderall, and I don't sleep until I'm done.
How many of you saw 60 Minutes this past Sunday where they did the bit on the driverless cars. Anybody, have you seen that? Yeah. Now, you know, I live very close to Google headquarters, and I see those cars in my neighborhood all the time. And the good news is they don't go over 25 miles per hour, but you know, my natural instinct is to stay the hell away from them because you know it just freaks me out. But this stuff is real, and it is so thrilling to think about what our daughters, our sons, the future generations are going to be experiencing. It's really, really exciting. I am wearing a Badger sticker, and honestly, I'm not a Badger. I picked this up at a Badger event in Silicon Valley. I did the next best thing though. Instead of going to Madison, I married the most rabid Badger in all of Silicon Valley. His name is Craig Johnson, and he's with us today. And now he is a partner along with Alan Dines in Whisk Partners, which is a strategic operating capital fund that has partners in Silicon Valley as well as here in Wisconsin, investing in Wisconsin entrepreneurs and startups. I spent my career in Silicon Valley, but I was born in Ohio. I'm not a Buckeye, I'm a Bobcat. Most of you probably don't even know what a Bobcat is, but that's Ohio University, the other school in the heart of Appalachia. So I am a Midwest kid, and I like to say that I've worked for so many companies in Silicon Valley. I've done so many IPOs, mergers, acquisitions, that our annual holiday letter to friends and family, the joke kind of is, what job does she have this year, you know? And because all of our Midwest friends is like, what? You know, it's just kind of flaky, but it's a typical Silicon Valley career. And I like to say I've been laid off, I've been sold off, I've been shot off a million times. And my career has basically been in enterprise software, go-to-market strategist, digital strategist. I like to say I'm a recovering CMO, and now I am CEO of Watermark. And Watermark was started 22 years ago by a female entrepreneur in Silicon Valley who became frustrated over her inability to raise capital and to find a community of like-minded female entrepreneurs. And she started it, and it has now grown to represent about 1,000 of Silicon Valley's top executives. We have male members, female members, and our mission is to increase gender diversity in the workforce. And we do that in a few ways. We do it through our sponsors who pay us to help them increase gender diversity. We conduct workshops, seminars, events at companies like Intel, Oracle, Brocade, Juniper, Ericsson, law firms like Wilson Sonsini, Fenwick and West. All the big brands that we know and love in the Valley are making these investments because they realize the first step towards recovery is admitting you have a problem and you need to change. And diversity is not easy. It's really hard to fill that pipeline. But that is the focus of Watermark, and I'm very proud to lead it now. I'm also an advisor to 3 Wisconsin startups, Centier and Content Accelerator in Milwaukee and Bad Donkey Social in Madison. So I'm thrilled to be here because despite what the Kaufman report says, as a Midwest gal, I watch what the Midwest does. And I have had some personal friends who have had amazing Silicon Valley careers and experiences, and they have been recruited to the state of Ohio For example, Mark Kwame, who was a VC, his dad was a VC in Silicon Valley. He's now helping Columbus, Ohio, and the state of Ohio with their entrepreneurism. Wendy Lee is a friend of mine. She was the CEO of Get Satisfaction. She was recruited to Cincinnati, my hometown, to get their entrepreneurial act together. They call it Startup Cincy. Michigan is doing a lot with entrepreneurism. So it's really great to see what Wisconsin is doing now as well. I just want to take a few minutes to talk about Silicon Valley best practices. Number one, it's take a risk. I had a CEO years ago tell me to fail fast. Well, it's all nice and good, talk is cheap, but we all know our investors do not want us to fail fast. You may want to pivot, but failing fast will only get you so far. However, it does give you some street cred, and people do wear it sometimes as a badge of honor in Silicon Valley. There's also this misnomer, I think, that people drive up and down Sand Hill Road in Silicon Valley, which, by the way, is the highest priced real estate in all of the United States, I believe now. It beats Manhattan. They got this idea, it could be like right out of the Silicon Valley TV show. The people run up and down that road throwing dollars out of their Teslas and their Maseratis and Bentleys. Like, it's so easy to raise money in Silicon Valley. No, it's not. It is damn hard. It's hard there, just like it's hard here. There's just more, as I like to say, frogs to kiss, as we talked about the density earlier today. But it's really hard. You have to do at least 2 to 3 dozen pitches to get even any kind of a meeting. And as we know, at least 76%, 75% of all invested capital, never comes back. And so that's a real challenge in Silicon Valley, just like it is here. Most Silicon Valley companies, they are totally focused on the flip. And I've met so many CEOs who their companies are 10, 20 years old, and they'll often say, well, we're not really interested we're here to build a long-term company. And that's kind of code for saying nobody's really interested in buying your company or getting acquired. In Silicon Valley, the investors absolutely wanted to flip. Time is not your friend. There's a limited life cycle when it comes to tech, and there are insane amounts of money that is spent on sales and marketing in order to create this illusion that you're bigger, badder than you really are. It's kind of like the Wizard of Oz, or what's behind the curtain. There's no there behind the curtain. There's a lot of that in Silicon Valley. And at this stage of the game, the economy's been pretty good. You can't get an apartment in San Francisco. It's the highest rents in the entire United States. Everybody now is placing bets. When is it going to blow? How long do we have before this thing is going to come crashing down again? Some people think, they've said it's the top of the 8th inning. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. But there's an amazing amount of money that is spent, and the revenues are not coming in yet. People don't want to build a lifestyle company where they can spend their entire career there and hand it down to their children. The investors there, they want scalability. And if there's too many, you get that with software. If you need too many people to help you scale, that's not something that they're really interested in. Number 2 is creating a community. Every night of the week, I could be out going to some other event. And the community there is really, really tight. And Launch Wisconsin can be that type of community. It really can. Even some of the feedback that I've heard from people saying, well, we don't have a natural, place where people can physically go and meet. You know what I've seen? I've seen a lot of virtual communities. When I attend conferences and events, there's a lot of virtual collaboration platforms that the organizers of the events, we could all be part of a Launch Wisconsin virtual community where we can continue to share ideas and keep the momentum going. Collaboration software platforms like Jive, like Declara, these things are really getting traction so people can continue to build the community. In Silicon Valley, I can go to any Starbucks and on either side of me, I can literally hear people pitching deals. I have friends who are in Los Angeles, and there's a couple of well-known skyscrapers called Century City in Los Angeles, which of course is the hub of the entertainment industry. And people joke about how they can ride the elevators in Century City all day long, and people, total strangers, get in the elevator, they make eye contact with you, they hand you a script, they hand you their business card, and they're pitching you on their next gig, and that's just the mental attitude. It's very similar in Silicon Valley. People will walk up to you at Starbucks and go, hey, what are you doing? Let's make a deal. And it's just kind of a unique phenomena. It's quite the bubble, quite the bubble. Those 2 to 3 dozen pitches that I mentioned that you need to make, you better have an ecosystem. And that will help you get in the door, or at least you need to know somebody that can help you get in that door. You have to work at that ecosystem like it's your second job or your third job. You have to enjoy it. You have to get energized by it. I will give a shout out to the Badger Entrepreneur Forum, which operates in Silicon Valley. This is classic Silicon Valley. Your alma mater, every school has an alumni group. Your school probably has an alumni group in San Francisco or Silicon Valley. Well, the Badgers in Silicon Valley said, you know what? We've got so many Badgers who are CEOs or CTOs or CFOs of all these high-tech companies. We should do a spin-out. And we'll call it the Badger Entrepreneur Forum. That forum gets together quarterly. They bring in at least 100 Badgers every single time. They'll have a Badger who happens to be a CEO of a Silicon Valley company tell their story. It's a great community, and they really do a lot of sharing of ideas, deals, and certainly Stanford, Cal, UCSF are feeders. You are doing an amazing job here between Oshkosh, Madison, Marquette, Beloit, Milwaukee, Green Bay. Those are all feeder schools. And I'll tell you, speaking of communities, I don't know about you, but my LinkedIn box, man, it's kind of like Tinder for business intros. It's like everybody hits on you for introducing them to people, and it's a great application for getting introduced. Number 3, invest in a diversity of talent. This is not easy. Even Silicon Valley, which is known for attracting a lot of diversity, we struggle with getting the right diversity ratios. And I would say that at this stage of the game, whether it's Hillary, Carly, running for president, whether it's the Kleiner-Perkins fiasco that got a ton of press with their lawsuit, or Patricia Arquette making her statements at the Oscars, there's a tsunami effect about gender diversity now. It is a hot, hot issue, and I challenge all of you to think about this and what you can do, because it's not a nice to have anymore. It's a proven fact that companies that are more gender diverse have a higher return on sales, on equity, and invested capital. Some of you may have seen what Sheryl Sandberg and McKinsey launched last week. Watermark is working with the Lean In organization about some of this research that is showing that companies are doing more with these kinds of programs. In fact, Watermark conducts a ton of workshops at companies all over the world about how the male brain operates differently than the female brain. Men negotiate differently. They mentor differently. And we go into these companies to help people understand, and the light bulb starts to go off, and progress is really made. We do a lot in terms of sponsorship programs, which is different than a mentorship program, of taking your high talent and matching them with sponsors to give them visibility with high-profile projects, and good things happen from that. I would also say that when it comes to talent, equity in Silicon Valley is paramount. I know over the course of my career, when I have interviewed at companies outside of Silicon Valley, you talk about equity, sometimes people look at you like you've got three heads, like you're an alien. It's like, what the hell's equity? You know, but as has been stated here on some of the panels, you know, you'd rather have 10% of something big than 80% of something small. And that's the attitude, because you've got to have that talent to build your business faster and get to market faster. Another huge talent trend that I am seeing is building this culture of innovation and entrepreneurism within established companies. Watermark produces an innovation conference and an entrepreneur conference. And we market those conferences not just to entrepreneurs, but we market them to established public companies. And they are sending their executives in droves. There are a ton of companies who have established labs in Silicon Valley. And there are lots and lots of companies who have just hired one person, and they put them in Silicon Valley, and they go, hey, we got a Silicon Valley office. You know, it helps their image, right or wrong. Everybody wants to work for a lab. If you say you have a lab, people think, ooh, you're hot, you're cool, you're innovative. That 60 Minutes spot that talked about the driverless cars featured Mercedes that has an innovation lab in the Valley. All the major car companies have it. Walmart, of all places, has a lab in Silicon Valley. Ericsson, big telecom company based in Sweden, has a lab in Silicon Valley. People are very concerned about losing their talent to startups. They want to create a culture of entrepreneurism and innovation within their own company. It will attract talent and it will retain talent. And I would suggest that there's something that we can all learn from that. And last, check your ego at the door. I don't care if you're an entrepreneur, if you work for a big company, ask for help. Banish not invented here from your mindset. At one point, I worked for the storage division of Hitachi in Silicon Valley. And the good news was, we're Hitachi. The bad news was, we're Hitachi. Nobody wanted to work for Hitachi. It was perceived as this old, boring Japanese company. You're competing with all these hip, cool startups. What did we do? We knocked on the door of our parent company in Tokyo, and we talked them into letting us do a spin out, create a new image, a new name to attract talent. And that's exactly what we did, and then we promptly got acquired by Western Digital. So sometimes it's just pure dumb luck and timing of how things turn out for people. I've been the beneficiary of some of those things. I'm sure you have too. The bottom line is, it's a mental change. As Don Draper from Mad Men would say, change the conversation. You know, change happens when people take a risk and they challenge institutional thinking. What can really change the future of the entrepreneurial spirit in Wisconsin is the idea of cohesion. When people will focus on that bottom line and from an economic point of view, there is enormous power in this group of Launch Wisconsin. Take advantage of it, harness it. When you go home tonight, I would encourage all of you, as you're brushing your teeth, you're washing your face, you're looking in the mirror, think about what can you do tomorrow? What can you do next week? What can you do next month to foster more risk-taking, building this community, focus on gender diversity, and last but not least, banish not invented here from your mindset. And with that, I think the bar is open, so let's get started. All right, thank you for your time.
Just want to say thanks to all the sponsors and everyone for attending. Don't forget to fill out the surveys and also